are against anti-Semitism. It's much harder to go to the people which, first of all, or they don't know nothing about anti-Semitism, or they are a little bit anti-Semites, but they are not really, but they don't know really why they are. And those people are in the companies, in different organizations, non-Jewish organizations. And we have to go to them. And I think that the access to those people are our members of the community, which are not activists, but they are there. They are the messengers. We just need to knock to them and say, hi, hello, we are going to help you. Tell us, what is your idea? What can you do in your field? And we are going to give you the structure. We are give you the tools. But tell us where, how, and what would you like to do? And that was my idea.
I mean, this is a phenomenon I think we have in society in general. Lots of people, especially in groups and organizations, are always the leaders and they're the followers. But the leaders often get disenchanted because they find that everything always remains to them, and every leader wants people to succeed them. They want to move on, maybe do other things, and at some point, every leader maybe even gets bored in their position. The problem is finding new blood to fill leadership roles. And this is, I think, one of the big issues that also Jewish organizations that I see in Germany in particular, people get bored.
People get bored as one thing, but it's very often that there are a lot of people that don't want to be leaders, that they want to have someone who's going on the stage, who will keep the microphone, who will speak to the people. There are many like that, but they want to be behind the leader. They want to help. Not everyone has this ambition to be on the stage.
But when the leaders are not there anymore, the organization falls apart, and this happens quite often.
That's true, but also the leader and the organization with the leader, without the followers and the great strength and support, it's also, a bubble. It's just a bubble.
Yeah. So if I could now pass on to Nina Teuchner.
Teusner.
Teuchner.
Yeah, hi. So I'm kind of on the same track as you were, where it's more of an issue. Like I feel like we need to put them into two different boxes. The ones that are leaving. So you have one group that are leaving. They were active when they were younger. They went to camps and Bnei Akiva or whatever, and then they grow up. And then after high school and after university, that's when they're done. That's when they're working and they're focusing on their careers. And then I've seen that then they're returning to the community when they get kids of their own. So they start from when the kids are really small, and then they go with the kids to the community. And then I don't really know what happens to the group, if they're active or not, and when they're older or so. And then you have the different group, the other group that never were active, and the ones that we call like the outsider Jews. They know that they're Jewish, but they don't really care about it. So how do we need to find them, because only when we find them we can try to get them to be involved. And then I really feel like we should be honest and say, like, everyone has a lot to do with their daily life. We don't have time to sit at a lecture for 2 hours about Israel and the Palestinian conflict, because they don't care and they're tired of it. Like, they're really exhausted because of the situation in Sweden, because they already feel that they have to they feel like we get criticized for whatever happens in the conflict. So they're already so fed up with it, and they don't want to come and hear about it again. We already know about it, and we're done with it in a way. So we need to address the issue at a more, like, at a lower level, and just be honest and say that we need to make the community or the activities more sexy in a way, because it's not fun to come. And we don't need to make it bigger or more difficult than it actually is. It's enough to just say, hey, come for a Shabbat dinner to just hang out, or come for after work and have some wine or beer. And that's enough to get them to come. And then from there you can build on and actually ask people, what are you interested in? Like, what do you want to do? Not try to reinvent the wheel. Actually just try to make it more fun for people, because what we actually want is to be together and to feel the closeness that we have and amongst ourselves as a Jewish group. And I think that's where we should start, and not make it more complicated and difficult than it should be.
Sure.
Thank
But
you.
I always like to touch on always
Okay, sure.
what people are saying. I've witnessed that this happens a lot. Of course, people do come back when they have their children, but you also have a lot of people who then have children in a, let's say, the partner is not Jewish, and there's oftentimes rejectionism, in particular when the partner that's not Jewish is not a woman and the child is not, at least from a halakhic point of view, Jewish. And I've seen a lot of disenfranchisement from very active Jews who no longer go to the synagogues because their kid is not welcome in the synagogue. So this is also a topic that is very, very important to engage in on a halakhic topic for people who, are following the halakha, but also how to engage the families of people who, in that sense, are not halakhically Jewish. And I think it's...
So if I can just touch on that topic, because we have in Sweden, we have a really, really big camp. It's called Glemsta. They have hundreds of kids each year going to that camp, and they do accept kids that the father is Jewish but the mother isn't. But, I mean, it's a smart thing to just engage them and get them to come, because what they're doing at the camp is they're obviously educating them with all the different prayers and kosher, they keep kosher there and all of these different things. So what happens is that the kids, they become like you ignite this light and this curiosity within them, and then obviously like teach them in that case and tell them like it goes on the mother's side and then not on the father's side, but come and be welcoming. Like if you're gonna push people out the door, then we're the ones. So when we're talking about anti-Semitism and all these different problems, but then we're the actually bigger like bully in this part where we're excluding people instead of including them and trying to get them to come, and maybe the kids could convert, or the wife could convert. Like it's stupid to push them out when they want to come. That's my opinion of it.
And now Alex Hearn, the Labor Against Anti-Semitism.
Thank you. So Labour Against Anti-Semitism was started by a student with a laptop, and he worked for an MP who ranted about Zionists in the most inappropriate times. And he wanted to make up for what he felt was an error. We are a grassroots organisation, and we monitor and report anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. And we monitor it online, because that's where things happen. We do get a lot of newspaper coverage, and we appear on the TV stations like the BBC, which helps us talk to the non-Jewish community, the broader community across the whole country. So I'd like to talk about online and its importance, because we need to talk tactics. There has been a technological revolution. You can now never see a human face. You can do your work from home. You can order your food through an app. You can do everything online through apps. And the battleground of ideas is also happening online. 15 years ago, how many of us had a mobile phone? Now, most young people are on social media. Pretty much everyone has a mobile phone. What's going to happen in 15, 20 years' time? Where are we going to be? We need to start being proactive and realize which way the wind is blowing with this. It's also changing the human brain, technology. So the generation gap is larger than we've ever experienced it before. So we're playing catch up a lot of the time. So in the UK, there was a London mayor called Ken Livingstone, for example, and he said that Hitler used to be a Zionist. This idea spread across people that thought of themselves as decent people. And someone in this room wrote a terrific rebuttal article, Mr. Hirsch over there. Fantastic. But the problem is, with online, it's really difficult using intellect, because people use short sound bites and slogans and ideas. And this is really what drove me to start trying to shape things and start driving events rather than have events driving us and pushing a narrative. So we mobilized. We've got maybe 60, 70 volunteers. We also have a larger informal network that can come up with ideas. So instead of responding, we need to start acting. There's all these apps for food. Why isn't there an app to tell Jewish people how to rebut anti-Semitism? Why isn't there something to help students who are getting battered out there online, in real life, what kind of comments they're going to come across, how to respond to them? Why can't we, it's called gamification. You make video games, you make things fun, you make things more for an online audience. Why can't we gamify things, including to get people in touch with their Jewishness? Why do we have to stick to the old rules? We have to realize which way the wind is blowing. And then the great thing about online is the reach that you can get. We can engage celebrities. We've used this technique and influencers to help spread our message. So as far as anti-Semitism goes, I'd also like to see training young people in communications and spread techniques around. But I'd like to see us not fighting on other people's hills. And lastly, one of the things that I think was really important for morale was the creativity, memes, videos. People really connected with that. And it was about a central message and trying to connect with people on an emotional level. Yes, it's online. Yes, that lacks the human touch. But if you can understand psychology and you can understand what makes people connect with things on a deeper level and resonate with them, you can really catch people. And those were the things that really worked for us. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, I think it's a very interesting thing. We have one gentleman here who is working on a project that is trying to become pan-European, pan-European activism against anti-Semitism, against hate on an international level. We have people here representing different local communities or local countries. We have a gentleman who has said, why don't we create an app? We had a lady who said, well, we can engage people to do startups. Maybe just to sum it up very briefly, because what I do really want to do is open up also the discussion to the floor, is of everything that everybody has said here, there is a drop of, there is a red, the Germans say a red thread, there's a golden thread.
Thread, yeah.
Okay. What could that golden thread now really be? And could one right now, after this conference, after this panel's over, you guys go outside and you say, hey, why don't we, and maybe start something really concretely. I know it's, in an hour, nothing gets really created, but maybe could, because one of the aims of our EJA conference is not to go away and we're going home and we're just going to wait for the next conference. The aim of the EJA conference is that with our politicians that we invited to a conference a month ago, with our Jewish community members that we have had now here at this conference, with, let's say, education ministers and state secretaries who we're planning to have in the near future, together to pool our energies and really go and find the solutions to make a real impact, a real dent in this, let's call it, probably one of the oldest hatreds that exist, if not the oldest hatred, which impacts then youths from maybe engaging, because we do know that a lot of people don't want to even go in a Jewish organization because some people are really paranoid. Well, I have to stand in line before I go through a metal detector. It keeps people away. We want to bring people to. A lot of reasons why people stay away, but let's find more ways to bring people to engaging in our, let's create an app that gives people the tools. We also here at EJA do have a boot camp, which we give young people the tools, but we need to expand it. It's not enough that 7, 8, 9, 10 people do it. It needs to be how many youths are living in Europe, and the youths have the energy, they have the networks because they're still engaged before they're going off and maybe going away. So, is there a golden thread that right now one could maybe say?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, for a start, we can create a global network. We're all talking about these different things in our areas, but we can definitely everyone can link up nowadays with the technology. The second thing that you mentioned was funding. If we're going to come up with new ideas, then people need to change their way of thinking and realizing that these ideas do have value. Making a video game of how to fight anti-Semitism or to get people in touch with their Judaism. It might sound superficial to some, but actually it's the way that the wind is blowing, and I think that we need to get with that. And I just think that it would be nice if there was less resistance, I think, to some of these ideas that we're hearing.
Well, funding does tend to make a resistance, because if you don't have the money, if you don't have the money to get together and do the brainstorming, there's a limit to what the technology allows us to do. Sometimes just breathing in the same air, one comes up with solutions that you cannot do over a computer screen.
Exactly.
And this is one of the reasons also to engage politicians, local Jewish communities, educators, and find a way that from the top the money needs to come. It shouldn't always be coming from the grassroots. It shouldn't always be here local people and all their organizations begging people for money. It should really come because, and we've heard from an EU perspective, the EU has failed being the EU. We heard that from our Spanish guest yesterday. If we're failing on anti-Semitism, amongst other things. So the money should come from the EU and en force, and it should come maybe from the local governments.
And it would be nice if it was proactive rather than reactive.
Absolutely. No?
Well,
It's on. It's on.
now it's work?
Yeah, it works.
It works?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't hear myself.
Yeah.
Technique. Okay. It's okay. I don't have to hear myself. As I said before, for me, very important is that people are active and they just want to do something. So me, after going out from this conference, together with my friends from Social Cultural Association of Jews in Poland, because I'm also the member of this association, we have already 3 ideas, because we started to talk with other members of this gathering. So there will be Polish-German cooperation, as far as I know. We are going to cooperate with lady from Brandenburg, and we are going to exchange. There will be one of the exchanges, one of our friends is a painter. And he said to me, Claudia, actually, why not to make the exhibition in Krakow? And I said, well, yeah, why not? And then we thought, well, actually, I'm working in the European Parliament, and this is what I'm saying, young adults, which are professionals, why not to make the exhibition of the Jewish portraits in the European Parliament? That's how, the initiative is spreading. I mean, from the small thought, we are spreading it all over around, and I think that talking and just doing. And I was always taught that just do and the money will come. Because people like to donate and people like to stick to the good and innovative ideas. So this is my way. I'm just doing and I'm showing this is possible and this is amazing. So if you want to be part in or to do something, you can do something with that or you can just donate to that. But you are right about the European fundings. Just a few years ago when I was this young activist and when I was going around for the Jewish seminars for young leaders, I was taught that we have to create the projects that will be financially sufficient later. So we have to earn for ourselves. We can now not only always lay on the donations from outside. We have to create projects that will earn on itself, so they will be going, running. But now you're right. We also should think about the European funds because some of the organizations, structures, I think they own something to us. I mean, the last politics in Europe shows that we need the support. We need the support because they own us as support. Because they
should
forgot.
put the money where their mouths are.
Yeah.
By the way, we have, in theory, 5 minutes. I'm going to push it just a little because a little bit longer because we will need to really have some questions. I think it's important. It's on.
Okay, I just will take it to my place, what you said. I used to attend many conferences all over Europe. And we always used to say that, and sorry for the words that I choose, But we always used to say that 80% of the conference is crap, and the most important thing is the other 20%. And those 20% is this time when you are standing outside with people, chatting with people, and know other people. And even when you can go out and drink some beer with other people, this is what we used to do. And those are the most important things of every conference that I ever attended. Because this is the moment when you create the connections. When you create the connections, when you create cooperations. And I think that this is the most important of this conference as well. Because the end of the day, when the conference will done, everyone will go home, and what we are taking from this conference is the connections that we created here, the people that we met, the ideas that we got from other peoples, and the options for future cooperations. And this is the most important thing. And I just can say that I used to be involved in the Jewish Agency long years ago in a project that called Partnership Together. And the Partnership Together based on the principle of P2P, is people to people. The main goal of the Partnership Together project is to take people from Jewish communities and to meet them in person with other people, in this case from Israel. But this principle of people to people, this is the key to create stronger and much more united community all over Europe.
Yeah, what I want to say is strictly connected to your speech, because people to people is the key word to me, the key aspect in order to build this network of, for instance, young Jewish professionals all around Europe. But to do this, and this I want to point it out because it's very, very important, we have to get to know each other a little better. I don't want to make it theoretical. I want to make it real. I want to make it pragmatic. I mean, this is not theory. In order to better build a structure, we first have to know our traditions, our way to live our Jewish life, our Jewish daily life, our shirim in the Beit Knesset. There are many, many aspects we have to deepen in order to provide a better mutual knowledge. This is the only key to build the networking, to build to build a solid structure. We do have the tools. We do know how to create networking. We live in the age of networking. So we do know. For instance, I've been studying engineering for 5 very long years. 5, but they appear to be 10, kind of. So I've been doing networking in the Politecnico di Torino, in my university, all day long for 5 years. But we are trying to do something more than that. Beyond networking, we're talking about Jewish networking all around Europe. And in order to build such a spread network, we have to implement some projects to design the structure with a very solid base, which is the mutual knowledge. I want to know something more about Judaism in Northern Scandinavian Europe and Scandinavian countries, because I do not know nothing. This is a need if we want to build such a structure. We have the tools, we have the minds, we have the ideas. There's plenty of ideas. So when we all go home, or when we get out of the door and we talk about the ideas which are coming out right now, we have to develop all those ideas by first mutually asking each other, what do you do? How is your daily Jewish life? How is your community? How does your Jewish life works? What are your issues? And so on. This sounds very theoretical, but it's not. Right. This has to be implemented in order to build a better and stronger, a more solid networking.
And that's following. That's also looking for the golden thread.
Absolutely.
And our
Please.
no.
I think you should move on so that we can, if anyone
Yeah.
has questions.
Does somebody have a burning question, or should we go on to the next one and then everybody inundates the next group with their burning question? Because I've had several comments about the need for it, but we can go on to the next panel?
Yes.
Wow.
Although this is very, very good panel, I think one of the best during this meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Your
So-
check's in the post. Thank
So
you.
without further ado, because the guy who's showing me the minutes has shown me the minutes have expired. So thank you very much to our panelists. And I would like a report on the golden thread that you 5 will have found. And let's see if we can take it to the next level. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much for the youth. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to the launch of our